how are you today? Monica.Bodirsky here, and you may have noticed I'm not in the Shadowland studio inside. I'm actually out here in the yard in the Soul Keeper's cabin, and I wanted to talk to you a little bit about one of my favorite herbs today. Yes, I am now a chartered herbalist, so this witch can divine and use herbs. So, Artemisia Vulgaris and or Mugwort is a really well-known witch's herb, and I've noticed the one outside this cabin, gifted to me from a wonderful friend, has gotten incredibly large. It is known as a rather invasive species, found by the sides of roads everywhere. You may not have recognized it. So stay with me for this short video on how to make a salve from mugwort, and I'll show you a few pictures of the garden. Mugwort, or Artemisia vulgaris, is an incredibly potent roadside weed. I bet you didn't know. People just call it a weed. It's a medicinal herb. It's been used in witchcraft practices since people started sharing their witchcraft practices. And it's named after Artemis in Greek religion. She is the goddess of wild animals, the hunt and vegetation, and childbirth, and for the Romans she was known as Diana. Very important for most Wiccan practices, and a lot of us witches. So, you may not have recognized it, but seeing the silvery underside is one way to tell. Don't confuse it with wormwood or some other plants that may be toxic. Make sure you identify the plant before using it for anything. I have some mugwort oil that's been steeping in organic almond oil for a little while, and because of the solar eclipse and dark moon, which is when I do a lot of my witchy workings, I decided that I would make a healing salve, and I use it also for lucid dreams, which is another property it has. I like to use these little screw top tins, and if you use those, they're not hard to find, but make sure that you clean them and wash them thoroughly, and you make sure that you don't put the lids on tight while it's hot, or you'll never get it off. Gosh, I've never done that. So in this sort of ritual, because it's important to me, I also use beeswax. This chunk I usually just shave with an old grater that I have. I never use food things for my herbal preparations. You don't want to do that. You don't want to cross-contaminate it all. You might hurt yourself. The reason I shave it into smaller pieces is so that it melts more easily. I don't use a double boiler, but that is often recommended, or a bain-marie, so that the heat isn't directly evaporating those properties of it being a nervine and overall healing properties. So I use a corningware pot, and I'm very gentle with it. The vitamin E oil is obviously a preservative. The three essential oils I am using are Juniper, Ginger, and Clary Sage for their healing properties, but I do not make it very strong. You have to be careful with these very potent herbs. They can be toxic, and you can harm yourself. Be really careful that people you buy these things from are certified in herbalism, or at least have received some training, because mugwort, while it seems pretty innocuous, is incredibly potent. Hey everyone, thanks for joining me in making this Artemisia vulgaris salve, otherwise known as mugwort. I hope it brings you some sweet dreams, maybe even some interesting healing for those skin conditions. And it is anti-inflammatory, as I mentioned, so give it a try. Remember, though, there's a deep spiritual energy along with the physiological properties of any herb. So proceed with caution, get to know your plants, and remember to try a patch test before using anything, because you never know if you have an allergy or if you might react to it. Okay, everyone, have a great week, and I will see you soon.